step into the hidden mysteries of the Pryor Mountains and the ancient secrets of Pompeys Pillar National Monument. In this video, we explore haunted legends, sacred caves, wild horses, vanished travelers, and mysterious carvings left behind centuries ago. From the freezing ice cave deep in the Pryor Mountains to the famous William Clark signature carved into Pompeys Pillar, these places hold stories that still disturb and fascinate visitors today. Discover the dark history, natural beauty, strange disappearances, and present-day reality behind two of America's most mysterious landmarks. There is something strange about the Pryor Mountains that people still talk about in low voices. Not because of one mystery, because of many. This rough mountain range sitting between Montana and Wyoming looks quiet from far away. Dry hills, wild horses, empty land, wind moving through rocks that are older than human history itself. But the deeper you go into the Pryor Mountains, the more the place begins to feel different. Almost like the land is hiding stories it does not want to fully give away. Some visitors say they feel watched there. Others say they hear sounds with no clear source. And then there are the caves. The caves are what truly changed the mountain's reputation forever. For hundreds of years, Native American tribes considered this area sacred. The Crow people especially believed the mountains carried spiritual power. Young warriors came here for vision quests. Some entered the cave searching for guidance, dreams, or signs from another world. Even today, many tribal members still treat the area with deep respect. They believe certain places in the mountains should not be disturbed. That warning became even stronger after explorers began disappearing. One of the most famous places here is the Big Ice Cave, and this cave breaks the normal rules of nature. Even during hot summer months, ice remains deep inside it. Imagine walking through dry mountain heat, then suddenly entering freezing air hidden under rock. Early visitors could not understand how ice survived there year after year. Before science explained the airflow inside the cave, people believed something unnatural was happening below the mountain. And honestly, when you stand near the entrance, it still feels unsettling. Cold air flows out, like the mountain itself is breathing. The Pryor Mountains are filled with limestone caves, sinkholes, and hidden tunnels. Some are still unexplored. That alone creates danger. A person can walk into the wrong opening and never return. The ground itself can betray you. Loose rocks, sudden drops, darkness so thick your flashlight feels weak against it. Over time, stories started growing around these disappearances. Locals talked about hidden underground systems stretching from miles. Locals talked about hidden spirits protected the caves. Others thought there were creatures living inside the mountain. In isolated places like this, fear spreads quickly because silence leaves room for imagination. And silence is everywhere in the Pryors. Even now, parts of the mountains feel untouched by time. There are stretches where you can hike for hours and see nobody. No roads, no buildings, just endless rock and sky. During storms, the place becomes brutal. Heavy winds hit the cliffs hard enough to make simple walking dangerous. In winter, snow can trap people fast. That harsh environment created another mystery tied to the Pryors: the wild horses. The Pryor Mountain wild horses are famous across America. Beautiful, powerful, and incredibly tough, they survive in conditions that look impossible. Many believe some of these horses are directly connected to Spanish horses brought centuries ago. Watching them run across the mountains almost feels unreal, like seeing ghosts from another century. But protecting them became a battle. As governments tried controlling horse populations, arguments exploded between officials, ranchers, and animal lovers. Some people believed the horses damaged the land. Others believed removing them would destroy the spirit of the mountains themselves. And here is where the mystery grows darker. Some horses vanished without explanation. People blamed mountain lions, harsh weather, illegal hunting. But rumors spread about secret killings hidden from the public eye. Activists accused authorities of removing horses quietly to reduce numbers. Officials denied wrongdoing. The truth often became buried under politics, anger, and fear. That tension still exists today. The mountains are beautiful, but they also carry scars from human conflict. Mining exploration damaged parts of the region years ago. Roads cut through areas once untouched. Tourists sometimes leave trash behind. Some caves were vandalized by careless visitors searching for adventure without understanding the cultural importance of the land. And yet, despite all this, the Pryor Mountains still hold incredible beauty. At sunrise, the cliffs glow orange and gold. Wild horses move through the fog, while eagles circle overhead. Ancient rock formations rise out of the earth like forgotten ruins. Some caves contain rare crystals and ancient markings connected to early human history in the region. There is also a strange emotional feeling many travelers describe after visiting. They say the mountains feel alive. Not alive in a supernatural movie sense, more like the land has memory. Like every cave, canyon, and cliff carries the weight of thousands of years inside it. You can feel how old the place is. And that feeling can become heavy when you are alone there, especially at night. Night changes the Pryors completely. The wind becomes louder. Animal sounds echo strangely across the rocks. Coyotes cry in the distance. Shadows move differently under moonlight. Even experienced hikers admit the isolation can play tricks on the mind. There are stories of strange lights seen near remote ridges. Some believe they are just headlights or natural reflections. Others think they are connected to old spiritual legends. A few even claim UFO sightings happen near the mountains, though hard proof never appeared. Still, stories like these survive because the Pryors already feel mysterious before anyone adds legends to them. That is the power of places like this. The environment itself creates mystery. And then there are the ancient secrets buried under the ground. Archaeologists discovered evidence showing humans lived around these mountains for thousands of years. Artifacts, hunting tools, and sacred locations connect the region to a very deep past. Certain caves were used for ceremonies long before modern borders existed, but not every discovery was shared publicly. Some tribal groups asked researchers to keep sacred information private. They feared tourism and curiosity would damage protected areas. That decision only increased rumors. Whenever people hear that something is hidden, imagination starts running wild. What exactly remains undiscovered in those mountains? Nobody fully knows. And maybe that uncertainty is what keeps the Pryor Mountains so fascinating. Unlike famous tourist spots filled with gift shops and guided tours, the Pryors still feel raw, dangerous, real. You are not walking through a polished attraction there. You are entering a place where nature still controls the rules. That can be both beautiful and terrifying. People searching for peace often love the mountains. The silence helps them think clearly. Photographers capture stunning wildlife scenes. Horse lovers travel long distances, hoping to see the famous herds running free across the ridges. But there is another side too. Rescue teams still respond to lost hikers. Sudden weather changes remain deadly. Remote areas have poor communication signals, And because the land is so isolated, small mistakes can quickly become serious emergencies. The caves remain especially risky. Even the experienced explorers warn people not to enter unknown cave systems alone. Some tunnels narrow without warning. Oxygen levels can drop. Loose rock can collapse suddenly. A single wrong step inside deep caves can become fatal. That danger adds to the mountain's reputation. And honestly, I think the mystery of the Pryor Mountains works because it never feels fake. Nothing here needs exaggeration. The isolation is real. The spiritual history is real. The disappearances, harsh conditions, and strange stories all grow naturally from the landscape itself. This is not the kind of mystery built only from internet rumors. The mountains create the feeling themselves. Personally, I think places like the Pryor Mountains remind us how small humans really are. Modern life makes us feel connected to everything all the time. Phones, roads, maps, satellites. But the Pryors still contain moments when nature completely takes over. You can stand there surrounded by silence and realize how easy it would be for someone to vanish into that landscape. And maybe that thought is what stays with people after they leave. Not fear exactly, respect. Because the Pryor Mountains do not care who enters them. Explorers, tourists, scientists, photographers, the mountains remain the same. Ancient, quiet, watching. Today, the present situation in the Pryor Mountains is mixed with both positive and negative changes. Conservation groups continue protecting the wild horses and natural environment. Tourism has increased slowly, bringing more awareness and funding for preservation. Hiking, wildlife photography, and cultural education programs help people appreciate the area respectfully. But problems still remain. Climate change affects water sources and vegetation. Some visitors continue damaging fragile caves and sacred areas. Wild horse management remains controversial, with ongoing debates about population control and land protection. Even now, the Pryor Mountains stay mysterious, beautiful, and slightly dangerous. A place where nature still feels stronger than humanity. Pompeys Pillar. There is a lonely stone tower standing beside the Yellowstone River in Pompeys Pillar National Monument. And at first glance, it does not look mysterious at all. It looks quiet, simple. Just a massive sandstone pillar rising out of the plains like it has been waiting there forever. But the strange thing about Pompeys Pillar is not the rock itself. It is the feeling that history never really left the place. People who visit often say the monument feels frozen in time. The wind moves across the cliffs exactly the same way it did hundreds of years ago. The river still bends around the land like an old road through the wilderness. And carved into the stone are marks left behind by people who passed through long before modern America existed. Some of those carvings are so old, nobody truly knows who made them. That is where the mystery begins. Long before explorers reached this area, Native American tribes already knew the pillar well. The Crow people called it sacred. Other tribes passed by it during hunts, travel, and trade journeys. To them, the giant rock was more than a landmark. It was a place connected to memory and survival. Imagine traveling across endless plains with no maps, no roads, and no modern tools. Then suddenly seeing this huge stone tower rising above the land. Pompeys Pillar became a guidepost in a world where getting lost could mean death. And because so many people stopped there over centuries, the stone slowly became covered with human marks, names, symbols, messages. Proof that someone had once stood there and wanted to be remembered. The most famous carving came in 1806 during the Lewis and Clark expedition. Captain William Clark carved his signature into the sandstone while traveling back east after reaching the Pacific Ocean. Amazingly, that signature still exists today. That alone makes Pompeys Pillar feel almost unreal. You are looking at the actual mark left behind by a man standing there more than 200 years ago. No glass museum display, no recreation, the real thing. And strangely, that signature became one of the reasons the site developed such a mysterious reputation. Because if one famous explorer left his mark there, how many unknown travelers did the same before him? Some carvings remain impossible to identify. Weather erased parts of them over time. Others sit high on the rock, where reaching them would have been dangerous without modern climbing gear. Historians still debate who created certain markings and when. Every symbol feels like a small, unfinished story. One of the darker mysteries connected to Pompeys Pillar comes from the journeys themselves. Traveling through this region during the 1700s and 1800s was extremely dangerous. Harsh winters, attacks, disease, starvation, and accidents killed many travelers moving through the frontier. Some never arrived at their destinations. And because the pillar became a stopping point for so many people, stories began forming around those disappearances. Old legends spoke of travelers who vanished near the Yellowstone River after camping beside the monument. Some believed bandits attacked isolated groups moving through the territory. Others blamed the harsh environment itself. Strong river currents, violent storms, and freezing nights could turn simple mistakes into deadly situations very quickly. Back then, help was far away. If someone disappeared, there was often no investigation. The wilderness simply swallowed them. That harsh reality collated ghost stories over time. Locals claimed strange figures appeared near the pillar at night. Campfires were supposedly seen flickering beside the river when nobody was there. Travelers reported hearing footsteps around campsites, only to find empty darkness outside. Most likely, many of these stories came from fear and isolation, but places with deep history often collect legends naturally, especially places where so many lives crossed paths. And Pompeys Pillar has seen countless lives pass beneath it. The rock itself also hides natural mysteries. Scientists say the sandstone formation is millions of years old, shaped slowly by ancient geological forces. Looking at it closely almost feels impossible, because the layers inside the stone tell a story older than humanity itself. You can literally place your hand on rock formed during prehistoric ages. That creates a strange feeling. Human history suddenly seems tiny compared to the age of the land. And there is another reason the place fascinates people: the view from the top. Visitors who climb the staircase today can stand above the plains and see miles of open country stretching into the distance. It becomes easy to understand why tribes, explorers, and travelers all valued this location. From the summit, you can spot movement far away: animals, weather changes, approaching groups. In older times, that visibility could save lives. But even with its beauty, the monument also carries signs of damage caused by people over the years. Some visitors carved modern graffiti into the sandstone, permanently scarring parts of the historic surface. Others ignored rules protecting fragile areas around the monument. Weather erosion continues, wearing down the ancient carvings slowly every year. That creates a difficult question. How do you preserve a place built from human marks while also protecting it from new ones? Officials now work carefully to balance tourism with preservation. Walkways and viewing areas help reduce damage. Rangers monitor the site closely. Educational programs teach visitors about Native American history connected to the monument, instead of focusing only on Lewis and Clark. That part matters. For many years, the deeper indigenous history of Pompeys Pillar was pushed into the background. Today, more attention is finally being given to the tribes whose connection to the area existed long before American expansion reached the region. And honestly, I think that makes the monument far more interesting. Because the true story of Pompeys Pillar is not about one explorer carving his name in the stone. It is about generations of people passing through the same landscape for thousands of years, each leaving traces behind, some visible, some forgotten. There is also something emotionally strange about ancient carvings. When you look at a modern signature online, it means almost nothing. But seeing a mark scratched into stone centuries ago feels deeply personal. You suddenly remember that real human beings stood there long before you existed. They were tired, hopeful, scared, curious, just like people today. That connection across time is powerful. And maybe that is the real mystery of Pompeys Pillar. Not ghosts, not disappearances, memory. The pillar became a giant stone record of human existence in the middle of the wilderness, a place where travelers tried to prove they had once been there before, disappearing back into history. Some succeeded. Others became forgotten names, worn away by wind and rain. Even nature around the monument adds to its atmosphere. The Yellowstone River moves quietly beside the cliffs, but it can become dangerous fast during floods or storms. Wildlife still roams nearby. Eagles fly over the riverbanks, while deer move through the grasslands below. At sunset, the pillar changes color completely. Orange light hits the sandstone and makes it glow against the darkening plains. In those moments, it becomes easy to understand why ancient travelers remembered this place so strongly. The monument does not just stand in the landscape, it dominates it. And once darkness arrives, the area becomes incredibly quiet. That silence is what many visitors remember most. No city sounds, no traffic, just wind, river water, and open land stretching into darkness. Some people find that peaceful, others find it unsettling. Personally, I think places like Pompeys Pillar remind us that history is far more fragile than we imagine. One storm, one act of vandalism, one careless decision, and pieces of the past can disappear forever. Yet somehow, this sandstone tower survived centuries of weather, conflict, migration, and change. That survival itself feels remarkable. And unlike many historical sites surrounded by commercial buildings and crowds, Pompeys Pillar still feels connected to the natural world around it. You can almost picture what early travelers saw when they first reached it, rising above the plains. That authenticity gives the place emotional weight. Today, the present situation at Pompeys Pillar is both hopeful and challenging. Preservation efforts have improved greatly, and the monument is protected as an important historical and cultural site. Tourism brings education, local income, and growing respect for Native American history tied to the region. Visitors can safely explore the monument through maintained trails and viewing platforms. But negative issues still exist. Erosion continues damaging the ancient sandstone carvings. Some tourists still ignore preservation rules and leave behind litter or graffiti. Climate conditions and increasing visitor traffic also place pressure on the fragile environment around the site. Even now, Pompeys Pillar remains a quiet but powerful place, part natural wonder, part historical record, and part mystery, frozen in stone.